Hi everyone, I'm Charlie Brooks, actress and founder of IAMPRO. Welcome to the IAMPRO podcast, where I interview performers, actors and theatre and filmmakers about their journey into the industry, their process as creatives and how they became pro. So sit back, enjoy, while I extract all of the juiciest information we need. To this month's Q&A. With me, I have the gorgeous Dan Buckley. Dan trained at Mountview Theatre School. He was the original Brit to play Elder Cunningham in Book of Mormon. He originated the role of Ferris in Eugenius. He's been nominated for a What's on Stage role for his role of Elder Cunningham in Book of Mormon, and he won a West End Frame Award for Loserville. And he is with us today talking all things acting. Hello, Dan.
How are you?
I'm really good. So Dan and I met through social media. I think, didn't we? Yes.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I don't really have many people that I meet through social media, but I started watching Dan Buckley act on Instagram and I was obsessed. And I was like, oh my God, your videos are so funny. We need to be friends. It's so good. So
And I was like, I was absolutely thrilled. When any peer, any other actor, especially notable ones like you know, come up and say, you know, I like your stuff. It's not just a compliment. It's not just a compliment that I usually get because it's somebody that I already respect. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
Obviously, it's easier for me to have seen your work, because of telly and how more accessible that is. So I already knew that you were great at what you do. So when someone like you says, "Oh, I love your stuff," it really feels great.
Oh, so good. I think especially if you've been in the theatre, like those videos in the wings that you do, if anyone hasn't seen them, go check them out. You're just like, oh, it's so true. That's so true.
Yep.
We will get back to that, but let's start at the very beginning. So Mountview Theatre School, what was your experience of drama school?
Do you know what? It was good. I feel like I look at it now from a really long lens, but at the time, it was hard work like I never thought it would be. Like 40 plus hours of contact time a week, like, is no joke. It's a real slog. Second year was the hardest. It was just like you were never ever free to do anything. You were just constantly learning, rehearsing, performing, doing, learning new material, performing it the next day, like last minute deadlines, like all this stuff. I felt like I got a really good deal in my third year. I got a part in every show, which not a lot of people did. It was really like you were really set up to expect one part in any of the final shows. So that's all you would get. And I was lucky enough, I did 3 shows and I got part in each one, which was amazing. But, there were times where I look back and I think I tried. I guess I was a little bit rebellious, but I didn't realize it. I didn't want to change. Okay. I didn't want to. I felt like I knew who I was and I felt really confident in who I was. I certainly wasn't arrogant, but I know that in hindsight, it might have come across that way. Having taught students now and now being on the other side and looking at people and thinking, oh, I see myself in you. And it's coming across a little bit like you're good. And it wasn't that I knew I was good. It's just I wasn't really for changing. And that really sort of shot me in the foot a little bit. And there were times where I was spoken to really terribly by faculty. And I think they were trying to do that thing where they mold me and make me into Sting. But I think that was more for their ego. And so that they could say in my third year, look at you now. I hadn't really changed. All it did was silence me. And all it did was make me sad. When, tutors would be like, oh, you got a scholarship. I would never have given you a scholarship. You're not good enough for that. And, all these, I know, really horrible things. But I feel like it was because I was quite resistant to, I wanted to keep who I was. I wanted to keep that vibrant energy and the fun side of me. I didn't want to lose it and become a serious actor. I wanted to still be fun. So I look at it with kind of it's a long lens, but I see both sides.
Yeah.
But I can't help but feel like I came out of drama school being very negative, very bitter. I didn't enjoy watching anything. I didn't enjoy any shows. I had to really retrain myself to enjoy theatre again. It took me a little while. It took my someone that I knew to say, "You don't enjoy anything. Like, what are you even doing this for if you don't enjoy anything?" And I would look at people and I would judge actors and I would say, "You're not very good because I can see the work you're doing, but I don't think I could do it any better." So it wasn't that I thought I could do better. It was just that I was constantly just judging, and it was like I think I just had too much knowledge. I think drama school made me consciously incompetent, but they didn't ever get to the point where they made me subconsciously competent. Does that make sense?
I love the
Um,
honesty.
so I felt the what?
I love the honesty here.
Yeah, well, yeah. This is the thing, and it was so tough. And eventually, I started going to the theatre and being like, okay. So in my head, I'm saying all these negative things. What did I actually enjoy? And then slowly but surely, I found myself loving theatre again and loving performances and having those criticisms, which everybody does, but they were so much more. They were so small. They were less prominent. And I retrained myself and became this lover again. I would just love theatre. I love going to theatre. I love going to cinema. I just love being entertained. And so I really feel like I've come at the other side of that. But drama school didn't. I don't know if it's their fault, but it's just how I responded to it. So that
Is,
was my kind of experience in a nutshell.
is there a little part of you that just doesn't like being told what to do you think? Or not?
For sure, I do have a problem with that. I think, but
I
I
feel like
did
I can
try.
say that because I identify.
Yeah, sure. So like, but having said that, certainly then when I was at drama school, and now more so in like my survival jobs, I've always found it quite because I right. So here's why I think I struggle with being told what to do,
Go
is
on.
how you tell me. So I like as an actor, I love being directed. I love it. So I sometimes I'm looking at the director like, help me, please help me.
Yeah.
Um, and I will want to collaborate, and I can offer a lot, but if you give me a little seed, I can make it grow, and I can let the ball roll.
Hear you.
Um, where when I'm in a survival job or a job that's not creative in that respect, and somebody speaks to me like I'm less than, that's when I really struggle with being told what to do because I treat everybody with exactly the same respect. Like I understand there's a hierarchy, but I treat my director the same way I would treat my fellow castmate or the lighting operator or anybody else. Everyone around me gets the same respect.
Yeah.
And so if that's how I would expect, that's how I want to be. So for me, when I was at drama school, there was a lot of like you were being spoken down to, and I guess it was part of that that was necessary because drama school inevitably is a group of big fishes, like from small ponds that are now suddenly in this big pond together. And you've got this thing of being like, well, I was the most talented person at Amdram, or I was the most talented person at my college, or and you get this thing, and there wasn't really ego clashes but I think for them they have to try and look at that and navigate everyone's path effectively.
Mm.
So, I don't know that I would like to be on the faculty at a drama school. I don't know how I would feel. I think it would stress me out because I would care too much. Does that make sense? Because I would try and be like, oh, I remember this. Whereas I felt like I would look at some of these faculty members and be like, you don't remember what it feels like. You don't remember what it feels like to be me. You don't remember what it feels like to be an actor, because a lot of them were actors that then became heads of departments for exactly all the right reasons. And I felt like they had lost a little bit of touch, and that's again another reason why I think IAMPRO is so good, is because you're working with people who are actively working, and a lot of our guest tutors who came into drama school were the most inspiring ones, and maybe that was because we put them on a pedestal because they came in and they had done their West End show the night before, and they came in and taught us a class, and we felt like, oh my god, someone from a West End show's teaching us, or someone from a TV, or this, or Elaine Page is coming in, or all these people who you felt inspired by, and maybe we just took our faculty for granted in that way. And that's what I mean when I can see both sides. I can totally see both sides of how I was and how they must have felt, but but I'm so grateful for my training, genuinely, like so
Yeah.
grateful. Like I still I'm still the professional I am because of that, in terms of timekeeping, in terms of showing up, in terms of being, losing my inhibitions, being creative, all that stuff, and being collaborative. That was all from drama school, that I'm so grateful for.
So that was going to be my next question. What are the positive takeouts? And I think it definitely instills the discipline in you, doesn't it? And I think
For sure.
the thing I felt I missed by not going to drama school, actually, and this is a reoccurring thing for me that I've done a lot of work on, that I think I've spoken to death about on here, so apologies, listeners, is my ability, the opportunity to learn to trust myself in a safe environment and make the mistakes and form my own opinion and things like that, because I got so thrown in at the deep end, which was amazing, and I definitely trusted myself in some ways, like instinctually, but for me, like in a rehearsal room, I sometimes find it a bit difficult to make choices. I really like to have guidance, and maybe that's just part of my process, and that would never have changed had I've gone to drama school. I don't know, but I feel like it gives you that kind of underneath substance to go out and do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. And I feel like drama school will have helped with that, but I do think your instincts remain. I
Yeah.
think your instincts remain the same, and a lot of what they give you is just tools in order to elaborate them. Or if you're really struggling, there's all the theoretical stuff that you can do that you might not get taught if you don't go to drama school, but it's all accessible and it's all
Mm.
there. And also, I've worked with people who are just as professional, just as that come in just this on time and show up and know all their lines, and and are just
Oh yeah.
equally as professional as everybody else,
Yeah.
who haven't trained, and they've either learnt on really good jobs, or if they're on their first job, they're just really keen, and that is
Yeah.
exactly the kind of energy we need. That's exactly the energy we need in a rehearsal room. The last thing you want is to walk in to a rehearsal room and for someone to be already on day one over it. Because some actors are. They're like, I've done this, I've done 100 day ones, I've done 100 meet and greets, I've done 100 first days, I've done, I've done them all. And it's like, that I never want to lose. I want to be gravitating towards the people that are buzzing to be there, whether it's their first job or whether it's, they've just graduated or whatever it is.
Mm.
Like, that's the energy we want to be keeping in the room, because that then becomes the most collaborative energy.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I feel like, yeah, because I know you have spoken a lot before about but you do learn, like, you're still trained. Do you know what I mean? Like, no matter if you've done a job, as far as I'm concerned, you've trained, because you've been around all the environments that you need to in order to succeed, and you didn't fail because you did the thing. And I
Yeah.
think that's so important, is to remember that. And I know
Yeah.
there's lots of different avenues into that, but certainly not feeling scared, like walking into a room and feeling less than because you haven't had an accredited training. Because even to a certain extent, amateur dramatics is a training in a way. You're still going through the process of rehearsing, getting up, doing a technical rehearsal, having to deal with the stresses, the nerves, all that stuff. That all just happens. That happens in professional, and it happens amateur dramatics. It happens anywhere, at college, wherever.
I think it's quite interesting. I'm sort of looking at some things at the moment, like holding on to that thought that I haven't quite let go of yet. And I think I like it sometimes because it makes, I care so much about what I do, and it makes me really work hard for what I want. Do you know what I mean? I'm really,
Yeah,
um, and having that bit of self-doubt and all of that, I think it's kind of a healthy dose.
I think, and drama school doesn't get rid of that fire if you don't let it.
Mm.
Especially when you first graduate. But the real education, or not education, but the real training comes into play when you're 6, 7 years down the line and you've worked constantly,
Yeah.
and you become, like I said, that person who's a little bit like, I'm an old hand at this, I know what I'm doing. It's like, that's not the energy we need. Like, you
Yeah.
need to walk into every single job and every single rehearsal room on the first day fresh slate, remembering that excitement. And even though some formats will be the same, the formulas are usually the same. Like, I feel like I've been really lucky in my career that I've created a lot of roles. And so my experience is different from other people's. But everyone's experience is different. But like, I walk into a room and I'm used to seeing the writer. I'm used to having the writer in the room, which a lot of people aren't. I'm used to having the original creative team in the room. I'm used to having so many things. I'm used to having more creative control because I can come in and say, "Do you mind if we change this line?" And like I'm there adapting a script that is fresh because it's never been done before, and that is my experience. So when I go into a show in the future that has already been established, that has been running for years, if I go into a cast change, I'm not going to get that, and that is going to be a learning experience for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in the room saying, "Oh, I have to do it exactly the way it was done before." Yeah, that's the way we run this show, and then I have to go. That'll be the learning experience for me, and it's I'm open to that. I'm totally open to that, but I've just been really fortunate that I've been creating shows from the ground up and like
Let's
having that experience. So
let's
for
talk about
that is what I'm used to.
yes.
Okay.
How so where do we start with that? So Ferris in Eugenius, the
Well,
creation
yeah,
of
but
what's your process?
okay. So creating a role is great because they already see something in the audition that they really want you to bring to it. So you already feel like I already feel like I'm two steps ahead because I'm like, my instincts are correct because I've been casting this role based on no preconceptions, based
Yeah.
on no other person's performance of this. A lot of the roles that I originated to begin with were all like the funny best friends, which I was totally happy to lean into. Like that suited me. Comedy was absolutely my thing. I really loved doing it. Um, and so like it started with Louisville in the West End. We did it regionally first, and then we went to the West End, and it was again it was the funny best friend, the funny friend, And my process for that is just to trust the material, really learn. So a lot of them have been like sci-fi nerds or geeks. And each one either loves Star Wars, like even Elder Cunningham, like loves Star Wars, loves Star Trek, loves loves all these like niche things, and so I would educate myself enough um, to know enough about those things without going too far into that work. Because like Star Trek is not really my jam. Star Wars, yes, maybe more, but Star Trek definitely not. And I would just find out what kind of. I think about school. I think about the person I was at school, the people that I saw in different friend groups. Whether I was the one that, whether I was the I'm playing the part that didn't really ever wash because that wasn't on their priority list. Whether I was the one that had like Eugenius, for example, was someone who was such a nerd and such an outsider, and the cool kids found him really gross, but he was so confident in himself that it
Mm.
was so inspiring and so refreshing to play because he was like, I actually do not care what you guys think of me. And every now and then getting caught up in that feeling of being like, oh, I'm judging myself a bit and being like, no, I'm cool, I'm fine, I'm good. And like, so it's finding out which kind of archetype I was playing and really leaning into that. And again, making sure that the writers were happy, asking if there was anything I wasn't hitting the way that they expected, because the writers have a voice in their head. They have an expectation of how they want things to be said. And I know that
Yeah.
a lot of them are really gracious and generous and are happy to just let go, but some of them aren't, and some of them are really precious about it. And it's about accepting that and being collaborative enough to ask them and say, um, if you want to guide me and I'm not hitting this beat, or if I'm not, adapting this the way you want it, let me know. I'm so happy. I'm not controlling. I'm not like, this is the way I want to do it, and that is the way I
Yeah.
have to do it. I think I don't know if I've ever really had an experience where I've gone, oh no, the way that you're pushing me to do this is not the way I feel. Like it's always been like, oh, absolutely, of course, that makes total sense. And in that way, I'm quite, I don't want to say subservient, but like I feel like I'm quite good at being guided. I'm quite good at being pushed in whichever direction they want me to go.
And
But it
allowing
doesn't really,
everyone
it doesn't have,
and sorry, allowing everyone to do their job, right? That's what a director's for.
yeah,
Um, I love it when
exactly.
they come and
Um,
whisper something in your ear that just changes the whole way you think about something. You go, oh wow, yeah, that's interesting.
this is what I loved about Fisherman's Friends. Our director on Fisherman's Friends was amazing at just sort of, he would watch the scene play out, and there's a lot of people on stage, and there's a lot of big scenes, a lot of people on stage, and we'd play the scene. Then everyone after the scene would sort of just break, and we would naturally just slide into our own little conversations. And it wouldn't be like a silent rehearsal room. We would all be having a lot of conversations, and he would just slowly go around the room, give us little notes, to everybody privately, quietly, in their ear, and have in the little moments, and then you would have the person, your partner, your scene partner, whatever it was in that scene, to discuss it a little bit, and you say, right, okay, let's do it again. And then we would all be discovering different beats because we'd all be given a new little thing to play with. So
Love that.
although it's quite insular and we felt like we were doing our own thing, he was so clever at just at not making the notes a big thing. Not being the director. It was like, okay, and then because nobody cares about it, not really in that moment when you're doing the first couple of stages of blocking, everyone else is worrying about their lines, worrying about what they're doing. And so he allows you that, and he goes, okay, so this is what I want you to do. So try this, and then instantly you're just like, at the end of the scene, you're like, oh my god, that felt so much better. And that to me is a brilliant way to direct. Is to let everyone have their own private conversations, give your notes quietly around the room, play it again, and then everyone's like, oh my god, that's just so much tighter. And then you're discovering new things around you all the time. It was really beautiful. James Grieve is his name, and he's fantastic.
Have you ever worked with an actor that is like, no, I'm doing it my way. You're wrong. This is the way I'm doing it.
I mean, yes. I've worked with actors more so actors who just can't take direction, cannot take it, and they take direction totally personally, and so that's not your job. You're not doing your job properly if you're taking it totally personally, and they will challenge. There's that challenge every time they get a no, the challenge and the questioning and and for the most part, other actors are sort of thinking what they've asked you to do is not really a comment on your choice. It's actually in order to help the scene be presented the best way possible for the audience. It's never really like, oh, I didn't really like the way that you said that line. It's always like, maybe you should try emphasizing that this is the point you're trying to make, because then everyone hears it and then the audience will get it and it will land, as opposed to, I didn't like your choice, and it's like, because directors have to be really, they have to be really careful about how they say things in case it does come across that way. But yeah, it is a really hard job. But yeah, so I guess I have kind of worked with people, but you just kind of have to stay quiet, not make any eye contact with anyone, not in case lest that actor see or feel like everybody else is, judging them, or and it can be tough. Inside your head, you're going, come on, just take the note. Like I always say, just take the note, and the actors say it, just take the note.
No, dude. And then they're on stage, it's like they'll do what they want anyway. That's the thing about theatre, you're in all of it,
Yeah. So true.
I do love a debate, though. I think a healthy debate about within the collaborative process is always interesting because, actors have brilliant ideas that they bring to roles, and sometimes they have things that other people might not have thought of,
Exactly. And I think I'm a little bit like, if the director says something, my instant reaction is that they are probably right. And I don't know why I feel that way. And I don't know whether there's an element of me that needs to trust my instincts more in some spaces. Not that I've ever really been pushed, like I said, I haven't ever really been pushed in a different direction, but I'm always just like, yes, like any bit of extra information you can give me as a director, I will grab onto and let it completely feed into what it is I'm doing. And so that for me is the dream, actually. When I get notes from the director, I'm always like, yes, tell me. Like, even if it comes across harsh, just tell me, because I need to know that I'm also giving you what you want. And there's that element of like, why do actors do what they do? There's an element of us that wants to people please, and also there's a side of us that wants to rebel, which is a whole other thing. But yeah, for sure, I feel like with the director, I'm like, tell me, and I will make it work.
So survival within the acting world. Let's talk about that. I've been through loads of phases of unemployment. It's really hard. It's, even it doesn't matter where you get to. Well, obviously you get to a certain level and scripts are flooding in all of the time. How do you cope with that? With rejections, with keeping your head above water? Like what do you do?
It's a good time to ask, because this is the longest time I've ever been out of work. And again, I like to take as much control as I can in that, and whether I'm lying to myself or not, I'm unsure. But the longest time other than this was a 7-month period where I think I'd said to my agent, I don't want to be submitted for things. I want to focus on X, Y, Z in my personal life. And it meant that I could focus on doing a job that paid me consistently so that I could get money for a mortgage, etc. All that stuff that I wanted to focus on to really get myself secure. And I felt like that was my choice then. I was like, yeah, but it's been 7 months, but most of that was because of me, not because I didn't book anything. This time round, kind of similar in that I have made a choice to step away from certain projects and certain styles of projects just to see, right? Just to really pursue something that I've been telling myself for years that I really want to pursue. If that doesn't happen in a certain time frame, which I gave myself 18 months with my agent, we had a business meeting about it, and we really collaborated, and we are collaborating on this journey. I could say, so part of me is like, okay, I've made a decision to turn away a lot of opportunities and even offers that have come in, which are wonderful, but like just have to turn them away in order to pursue something to get my foot in the door in another little avenue of what it is I do in this business. However, that has taken a long time, and I wasn't deluded. I knew that it would take time. I wasn't deluded that I was just going to just step on into the lead in a Netflix series that's going to take over the world. Like, I was never deluded that was going to happen for me. Like overnight, or even in 6 months, even in 18 months. It's just not going to happen. I just want a line in a TV show so that I can say I've done some camera work that isn't an advert, you know?
Okay.
So there's that little sort of avenue that we're trying to pursue. And I've been quite sheepish about discussing it because I'm scared that people are going to think the same judgments that I'm projecting out, which is that I'm deluded. And so I'm saying I'm not deluded because I know in 18 months, after the 18-month period, I will go back to doing where I'm most comfortable and where I'm most known with those pools of people. But what I've done to survive is take each week or each month at a time. There are some weeks where I'm totally fine with it and I'm so chill. And there are some weeks where I'm literally gagging to be in a rehearsal room. I have so much creative energy built up inside me as a result of this, which actually I'm trying to take as a positive. And so I would say for anyone who's like really struggling and not booking work, or they're out of work as an actor, is to really try and enjoy that build up of creative energy, because it's bubbled up so much to the point where I'm like, I need to do something here. So then I will create a video, or I will write a poem, or I will start writing a script, or I will do something, and it just eases that sort of pressure a little bit and reminds me of what it is I want to do. And I know the next time I'm in a rehearsal room, or whether I'm on set, or whether I'm doing something, I'll be so grateful in a way that I don't think I've ever been in my career, because of this long time. And I know that's a really like glass half full perspective. And that's why I said it's really interesting you ask me, because there are days where I'm so distraught, I'm so convinced that I will never work again. And those are the days that I really panic, because I feel like I'm drowning. And I feel like if I don't work now, and I'm not working right now, or not seem to be working, which is a huge thing that's happening more because of social media. People love to be seen to be working as opposed to actually doing the work, which is a whole separate issue that we can get into another day maybe. It's like this whole, it consumes me in such a horrible way that I then become that person that left drama school and I'm judging everybody. I'm thinking that other people don't deserve work. And like, these are the demons that come up. I'm thinking that other people don't deserve the work that they're doing, that it should have been me, or like all those really horrible things that are only because of this desire to do what I love. And then I judge myself for potentially turning down work or potentially turning down opportunities. And my agent's always like, you just have to be strong. Please be strong just for this period of time. After this period of time is up, we will open all the doors again and just knock on all the doors again and say, hello, do you want to see us for this? And like, just be free and available to, because I have been restricting myself to pursue something.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of courage to do that. And I acknowledge that about myself, is that it does take a lot of courage to say, I'm going to try this thing. I'm going to try and do more theatre. I'm glad I've done plays, and I'm really grateful that I've done plays. Do more of them, focus solely on them, and try and get some telework, try and get some stuff. But again, the word is try, because it's hard enough for people that have trained specifically in straight theatre, hard enough for people that have trained particularly just in camera work or whatever it's, in that niche. Like, it's hard enough for them, let alone some guy who trained in musical theatre, who has majority musical theatre on his CV, who wants to sort of take a little step over. There
Yeah.
are other avenues that we can pursue at some point, but I'm really grateful that I have a team that support me. And, I'm sending, I set, a couple of weeks ago, I sent my agent flowers just to say, thank you for the hard work that you're doing. I haven't earned any money in a year. Thank you for the hard work that you're doing for me. We're a team, and I'm so grateful, and I trust you. And it's like trusting that this is gonna pay off in some way. Whether it means that I'm doing a show that I might have turned down 6 months ago in 3 months' time, whether it's that, and I'm in a room and I'm finally doing the thing. I'm finally doing the thing that I've had all this energy built up to do. It's gonna be fantastic. So I'm just thinking about that when I can. But yeah, it's hard.
It is hard, Dan. It's that, I mean, I can be a walking contradiction, and I have what the universe puts in front of me, lean into it. I'll only be seen as one thing versus what you're doing, which I have also done. It is the power of no, and actually, doing something because you want to love and enjoy the work, and it has to be about the work and not about the money. And it's really hard, but then you think, what am I missing out on? And it's a really, really tricky way to know, because also I'm 43 now, so I get into this, I'm still very ambitious and I have loads of things that I want to do, but I'm also like, I kind of just want serenity, and I want peace of mind and ease.
Yep.
And, there's that. So there's that versus I know what I'm going to be doing. I know what I want to be doing, and I'm going to fucking go after it. I've got those two
Mm-hmm.
things. So I totally get it. I totally get it. And it's not easy. And I think particularly with musical theatre, people find it difficult to jump across, have done in the past.
Absolutely. And I'm really grateful that I've done plays, because some people haven't even
Yeah.
had the opportunity to do that. But
Yes.
I also recognise, and I always say out loud, because it's true, and to remind myself that I'm in a privileged position to be saying no. There are some
Yeah.
people that, that I can look back at my CV and be like, I've done all this stuff. Like I have a solid a solid body of work there that most people would be so proud to have, and I am. But I'm also lucky that I get to live at home with my family. I get to live in Scotland, which is gorgeous and quiet and beautiful, and the air is clean, and all this stuff where I do have a privileged position to be able to say no to work, and the stresses that it brings to say yes to an opportunity that then disrupts my little world that I'm in up here is all on me, and it's up to me to deal with that. And it's still a privilege in a lot of ways, and so I do have to say that, because I do believe it. That doesn't mean it's not hard at times to not be working.
The beautiful thing that's come out of that is, of course, Dan Buckley Actors socials, which are beautifully creative. And from the back of those socials, you've created these great books, which are brilliant first night presents or birthday gifts or whatever, especially for actors. So just tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that and how that came about.
It came from, I was doing a series of videos called Actors Taking Notes. They did really well, and I sort of thought to myself, because at one point I was using like just little notebooks or pretending to write in notebooks. I just had this idea that I wanted to create something as a result of them, and they weren't going to be merchandise. They weren't going to be like Dan Buckley merchandise, because I'm not I'm not that person yet. Maybe one day I will be, who knows? But like it was just something that I thought would be useful, that would also create a little bit of revenue for me every month to just help me.
Yeah.
I wanted it to become a bit of a side hustle if I could. But actually, more than anything, it was just to have something to acknowledge that these videos meant something at the time, And yeah, they're just gorgeous little notebooks. There's 4 different designs. There are probably going to be more coming, which will be really nice. And they're plain notebooks, as in like you can be as creative as you want in them, and that's the point as well. I thought about making them lined. I thought about making them even like journals or things like that, and giving prompts and stuff. But actually, I was like, creative people don't often need prompts. They just need something to write their shit down in, whether it's their notes from the director, whether it's a poem, whether it's to draw, whether it's something. And so each page has like little doodles on them to like encourage that, but also every page has a little quote from somebody within the entertainment industry to help inspire the person. They can open it whatever page they want, see what they say, and to help inspire them. And I just thought it was a really sweet idea, and it took me ages to do, and people have been buying them and people have been using them in rehearsals. It's wild. It's really, I can't wait to be in a rehearsal room.
I love mine. And I think we went into the ocean, and I just love it. It's just brilliant. Thank you, Dan.
You're so welcome.
On that note, the notebook note.
The notebook note.
And I'm going to say thank you. And me personally, IAMPRO, we're here to support you if you ever need any help with anything. Because for me, the most important thing that we do at IAMPRO is be able to come on and share like you've just shared, and for people to identify with people talking honestly, with the mentoring and things like that.
Yeah.
That's a place where we all come and speak about what's going on for us in a really honest way. And that is the way that you move through it. And through community, it helps you kind of stay strong. So as you know, we are always here for you. And I've loved chatting to you.
And I love the platform. I love the platform, and I use the platform. So I'm so grateful.
Oh, thank you. Love having you on there. Dan Buckley, actor, thank you so much for being with me today.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate it. Yay.
Have a good day, darling.
Thank you, Angie. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to hit the subscribe button. And for more information on IAMPRO, visit iampro.com or follow us on Insta @IAMPRO.